Now here is something that everybody can get behind, no matter who you support on Election Day.
Yeah, we are all voting for this weather.
We'll be getting us some perspective throughout the evening. We want to start right now with a look at the big one, the race for the White House. CBS News already calling Indiana and Kentucky for Donald Trump and Vermont for Hillary Clinton. Now, as you start to see the results come in, what are some of the bellwether states and indicators that you want to look for? Right now, though, we want to get a perspective on the biggest race in Iowa. That's the U.S. Senate race between Chuck Grassley and former Lieutenant Governor Patty Judge. Now, political analyst Bennett Smith is joining us now for some perspective on this race. Conventional wisdom, this is a safely Republican seat. Do you see it that way, too? And what are some of the states that you're watching to know early on if that's going to flip from Republican to Democratic? Yes, it's an early call for that, but definitely that was a narrow margin for Republicans coming into tonight anyway.
That's correct.
This is Iowa District 4. This is also a perceived safe race for Republicans with Steve King, first elected in 2002. He's facing a challenge from the Democrat Kim Weaver. Let's take a look at one other race that we're watching tonight. About a half a dozen southern Minnesota school districts are going to voters to ask for a property tax increase to get more funding to pay for programs and expand buildings. Those races and many more will be updated on KIMT.com. Now, as you are looking at the presidential race and you're seeing these early results come in, are there any surprises that you're seeing now? Thanks for turning to us for your local election coverage. About a half hour left for Iowa voters to cast a ballot tonight. Polls now closed in Minnesota, though we are still waiting for results to trickle in. Here are some of the races that we're watching closely for you tonight. Voters throughout southern Minnesota had a chance to sound off on this race today with longtime Representative DFLer Tim Walz facing another challenge from Republican Jim Hagedorn. So far, no results in this race. In Minnesota, Democrats have an 11-seat majority in the state Senate. Republicans looking to take over that house of the legislature. And if that's going to happen, it is important for this race to turn over. Longtime DFL Senator Dan Sparks represents Senate District 27, covering Albert Lee and Austin. He's facing a challenge from Gene Dornick. So far, no results. Here's an interesting race in the Minnesota State House. Newcomer Republican Will Wagner looking to overturn Tina Liebling's seat. This is in State House District 26A, covers a large part of Rochester. Hope to have some results for you by 10 o'clock on that. Now, one of the Iowa races we're watching closely is House District 52. It covers Charles City, Nashua, New Hampton. Incumbent Todd Pritchard, the assistant minority leader, is elected in 2013, facing a challenge from Stacey Stokes. KIMT News 3's Brian Tabak standing by with a closer look. Certainly, Brian, thank you very much. Early voting, a big issue nationwide this year, and especially in Iowa, and it's growing in Minnesota, too. Now, every Minnesota voter has a chance today to sound off on the constitutional amendment, and joining us now to discuss that, political analyst Dr. Eric Shores. What do you think they're going to decide? Why so important that this would become a constitutional amendment, this issue? The polls are now closed in Iowa. Voters wrapped up in Minnesota more than an hour ago, and results are starting to come in. We begin with the only U.S. Senate race that's happening in our two states. Chuck Grassley is looking for his 7th term and facing Democratic challenger Patty Judge. And right now, Judge is leading 52% to 45%. It is still very early, only 1% of the precincts reporting so far. In Iowa, Democrats hold the state Senate by 3 seats coming into today. Republicans have the House by 14, and several local races are going to play into how that is broken up next year. Senate District 26 covers Northwood, Osage, Cresco is the subject of a lot of campaign ads and dollars. Mary Jo Wilhelm trying to fend off Republican challenger Waylon Brown in this, and Brown so far is ahead, but only by about 37 votes right now. Senate District 4 represents Forest City and Garner. Dennis Guth, elected to the seat in 2012, faces a challenge from Susan Bangert. Still waiting for some results to come in on that. Let's take a look at one of the big races in Cerro Gordo County now for the District 53 House seat. That covers Mason City. Longtime Democratic member of the legislature Sharon Steckman facing a strong challenge from Republican Barb Hovland, but it looks like Sharon Steckman so far is running away with that. KIMT News 3's Megan Hoffman is live in Mason City with an update and a closer look. Megan? All right, thank you very much, Megan. Yes, that is one race that we are going to be watching very closely for the rest of the evening. Let's get an update now on how Minnesota and the rest of the nation is shaping up. Dr. Eric Shores joining us now with kind of a larger perspective. This has proven to be an incredible race here on the presidential side. What are your thoughts as you watch all of this happen? Turnout does seem to be going against some of the polls that we saw, and we were talking about that math problem. We looked at states like Florida, North Carolina, and some of these tight ones that really kind of all have to domino in his way, and so far, even though they haven't been called, it's looking like it could happen. Polls across our area are officially closed, and we are seeing results come pouring in, so let's get right to it. First, the only U.S. Senate race in our two states, Patty Judge was ahead of Chuck Grassley in the count about 30 minutes ago. Now, King, the longtime member of Congress, is appearing to fend off the challenge from Weaver, 57% to 43%, with only a small number of precincts reporting so far. The other U.S. House race for our area, Rod Blum against Monica Vernon. Looks like it is a reversal in that case right now. With only 14% in, we've got 55% of the vote going to the Republican. We'll see if that holds throughout the night. We are also keeping an eye on important city-level races. Now, here is where that race stands. It looks like Nelson is going to hold on to that one if the trend stays the way it is now. How about Senate District 27, Albert Lee and Austin? Dan Sparks was elected in 2002. Now, Peggy Bennett is hoping to keep the seat that she's held since 2014. DFLer Gary Schindler is challenging her in this, and Bennett putting up a strong defense of her seat. Now, stay with us right now. KIMT News 3 at 10 is only seconds away. In North Iowa, we have Emily Boster, Megan Hoffman, Brian Tabak. In Minnesota, Dee Dee Stephen, Adam Salet, and Raquel Hellman, all standing by, all getting you the latest results and reaction on this election night in America. We are your source for results in North Iowa and southern Minnesota. First up tonight, the race every American is interested in, the race for president between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. And it looks like Charles Grassley has now taken a strong lead against Patty Judge. We saw this just a few minutes ago. These are some brand new numbers here. The Republican looking to secure his 7th term in Congress, and it looks like he is growing in his lead. Yep. KIMT News 3's Megan Hoffman is live with a look at the race between Sharon Steckman and Barb Hovland. Megan.
The whole beginning of the campaign, if it hadn't been for Bob.
Right. Well, you see Megan there with Democrat Sharon Steckman.
With the presumptive winner, if we can take a look at the latest results in this race, we'll show you the numbers because Sharon Steckman is off to a very strong lead against Barb Hovland and looks to be holding her back in her challenge and will be holding that seat in the state legislature. A North Iowa House seat that was highly contested was this one, Iowa House District 26. Waylon Brown trying to unseat Democrat Mary Jo Wilhelm. And here are the most recent numbers. Now, this seat covers Northwood, Osage, New Hampton, and Cresco, 61% going to the Republican here. Now, incumbent Democrat Todd Pritchard faced off against Stacey Stokes in this North Iowa race. And here is a look at where that race stands. It looks like Todd Pritchard is holding off the challenge against Stacey Stokes. Now, still only 4% reporting here, a margin difference here of fewer than 1,000 votes, but 63% so far going to the Democrat. For reaction, let's turn now to KIMT News 3's Brian Tabak, who is live for us in Charles City. All right, Brian, thank you very much. Yes, we're watching for those to come in final. Now, we have managed to reconnect with Megan Hoffman, who is live standing by with Sharon Steckman, who it appears is going to hold off Barb Hovland in the race for the State House seat covering Mason City. So let's go now to Megan Hoffman, who is now live with Sharon Steckman. All right, thank you very much. Now, a few states have been called in the race for president that we want to update you on. Hawaii has gone to Clinton, and North Carolina, a big prize tonight, is going in the Trump column. For some analysis of our Iowa races, Bennett Smith is joining us now. So what are you seeing as far as how Iowa is playing out tonight? Now, some of the incumbents here are holding their seats very strongly, but it looks like Mary Jo Wilhelm may wind up losing that one. And what's at play there? All right, Tyler, thank you very much. A perfect night to get out and vote, you might say. A lot of people would. I think this night would win in a landslide.
I think so.
Weather-wise. Now we are going to check in with the Rochester races now. We are continuing our election 2016 coverage with the latest on several races in southern Minnesota. Coming out strong on immigration was something that so many of the other Republican primary candidates were criticized for not doing, and then he did, and that's what got the ball rolling for him, and it's coming to this day now. That math problem that we discussed on Eye on Politics, not so much of a problem anymore.
He's starting to solve the math problem.
All right. Dr. Shores, thanks for joining us. We'll be right back. All right, Emily, thank you very much. So longtime Sheriff Jay Langenbaugh, it appears, is being unseated this evening, one of the shocks of election night. Now, we are still waiting to see who is going to take State Representative Josh Burns' spot. That's some high drama on the national level and the local level as well. In North Iowa, 2 incumbent county supervisors have been removed. KIMT News 3's Emily Boster is live in the newsroom with tonight's results. Several races affect Rochester tonight, including State Senate District 26 between Carla Nelson and Rich Wright. Wright is a former assistant city attorney. Nelson is currently serving in the Senate, and she looks to be keeping her seat with 56% of the vote tonight. On the State House level, District 26A covers most of Rochester. Tina Liebling, GOP newcomer Will Wagoner facing off. Liebling looks to be holding on to her seat in this case. Covering northern Rochester, State House 25B, Republican Fran Bradley going against DFLer Dwayne Sauk. Right now, Sauk 52 to 48%. Now, we're seeing some surprises tonight, not only locally, but on the national level. And for some perspective on this is Dr. Eric Shores. You've been watching the presidential returns come in. It seems that a lot of people seriously underestimated Trump's support out there. So you think really one of the answers here has to be that people weren't answering polls honestly. Now it appears Republicans will have majorities in both branches after tonight's election. Here is one of the races that made that happen. Democrat Mary Jo Wilhelm is the incumbent in District 26 and was first elected in 2008. Guth has served 4 years in the state legislature, not 100% reporting yet, but Bangert has conceded this race, so Dennis Guth will hold on to his seat. Several changes are coming to North Iowa sheriff's offices, and there is an upheaval in Worth County. Incumbent Jay Langenbaugh is losing to Chief Deputy Dan Fank 71% to 24% with 100% of the votes in. Only 23 votes separate this. This is one that may go late into the night. Finally, Howard County incumbent Sheriff Morris Miners facing a challenge from Cresco police officer Troy Brando, and this one is finished. Miner holds on to his seat with 64%. 2,600 votes separate them right now, with Walz in the lead, the longtime Minnesota congressman, first elected as a DFLer in 2006, and this has been very tight all night long. Well, for the final time this evening, we want to get some perspective on today's races from our political analysts. Right. Now, Bennett, earlier Dr. Shores had said that some of these polls had to have been off. Are you of that opinion as well? Well, you saw the faces, the long faces of the people at the Hillary Clinton camp tonight, but this isn't over. I mean, she still possibly could come back.